Welcome along once again to the Cardiff City phone-in, the first one since before Christmas. What could we possibly talk about tonight? Quite a bit actually, but we'll get on to that. And you can probably, for those of us seeing the live stream, there's never been so many people in the room before. So we thought, what has gone a bit crazy tonight. So I got contacted over Christmas by Martin Davis, and he was talking about putting together some weekly content with his friends. So to get the ball rolling, I invited Martin on, and he brought all his friends with him. So that's basically why there's so many people in the room. Martin, do you want to
I brought both of them.
tell me a little bit about it from your point of view and what you're sort of trying to get going?
Well, it's just I run the Premier Bluebirds Facebook page, and it was just basically just thinking of something to diversify a bit, and I thought this was the next logical step, really.
And should we introduce the other members of your all-star cast to get us up and running?
Yeah, by all means.
So you got a Lynn Hawkins next. You obviously you all known each other a long time then, I guess.
We have done, yeah, from some of us from school age, some of us from after that. Martin would know more about the numbers that are on the page now than me, but certainly speaking personally, I find it very useful to be on the page because we can talk to other people that perhaps we wouldn't come across in the sort of normal sphere of day-to-day lives. And football is very much a game of opinions, so it tends to generate contributions that are very many and varied about the various subjects that we talk about, and we hope we sort of allow people to express themselves in a proper ways on that, and it keeps you in touch with what's going on at the city quite well, and we sort of it fosters links as well. I mean, I've been involved with going to away games with people who are on there that you meet through that. So it's a very nice social platform to be able to do that from the warmth and comfort of your own home, I guess.
And talking about sharing opinions, we'll be talking about Sheffield Wednesday in a bit, so there'll be some opinions on that, no doubt. Kieran, you got a number of roles, haven't you? You're involved with all kinds of things.
Yeah, I used to be work with a trust and a sports club, the secretary for a couple of years from both, and I'm now chair of disabled supporters for the last couple of years for Cardiff City, and we're just going from strength to strength. Most of my work is relying on that. I work with the Welsh fan embassies for Football Supporters Europe, and also chair of Cymru DSA for the National Disabled Supporters. So yeah, and I'm part of Martin's Premier Bluebirds forum as well, which could get a bit tiring on times.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's something we found, Al, isn't it, over the time we've been doing this. Some of the comments, can be a little bit tasty, can't they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Martin finds it, but I'm one of the admin on the Cardiff City Away Days page. And we have to, obviously, we can let stuff in because it was, for a while, we were getting comments and they were just unfiltered and it was just chaos. So we started to put a filter on it. So now we approve any comments that come through. But similarly, now we, on the phone in, much the same now. There is a delay. And also when comments come in, I read them privately before I read them out. I've been caught out a couple of times where it's all seems to be going very, very nicely, but all of a sudden it looks like I've just been led up the garden path, to be honest with you, and tell a joke without knowing it. But yeah, it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I do hear you, Al, but I have to be honest. Just prior to setting the group up, well, it was like 5 or 6 years ago now. I only took one piece of advice, and that was from someone who advised to apply the filters. But typical Ely lad, I took the advice and then ignored it. And I've never actually applied filters to the group whatsoever. I don't think there's a right and a wrong way, to be honest. But it seems to have been okay, but you have to, you have to keep on top of things on times.
Yeah, I think what happened with us, what prompted it to begin with, I think it was Swansea fans trying to get in on the page, and it just went crazy.
Yeah.
And similarly, when they beat us a couple of years ago, they started watching this as well, and it was all getting a bit, it was all getting a little bit out of hand, to be honest with you. But there we are. We nipped it in the bud when we beat them last time, so we're all happy.
Nigel, I just come to you firstly, and I want to go to Steve. I want to lead with Steve on Sheffield Wednesday because I feel one of Steve's rants coming on.
Yeah,
So,
I know. Oh, I'm sure of that.
so I'll tell you what, Nigel, I do it slightly differently with you. I think I'm about 7 points from 12 over Christmas, which is actually over the course of a season is promotion form, actually. Yeah, so we did all right.
It is. It is, isn't it? And I suppose we won the 2 games against teams who are likely to go down or possibly going to go down. And the disappointment was the home games. They were in control against Plymouth and blew that one. Leicester just blew us away. But
We knew we wouldn't get anything from there.
Yeah, we didn't. It was a free hit in some ways, but I personally I thought it was a bit disappointing. We showed them too much respect first half, and the game was gone before we really give it a bit of a go. But it's gone. They're not the games that are going to define our season. They need to put in a show this weekend, I think, and hopefully we'll get 1 or 2 players in time for it because Leeds they are a very strong team, but they're not so clever away, although they had a good result yesterday. So there's an opportunity for us this weekend. And I think we've only had 1 win in the last 6 home games and lost 4. So, and I think that's the reason why people are feeling a bit strange about Saturday's result because the performances haven't been so great the last couple of months. And, we need to start showing some of that again. Hopefully with some of those players rested, they come back this week. We'll see that. But 7 points out of 12 is acceptable.
Well, when I come on to Steve in a second to start talking about goals scored and conceded, but the funny thing is, of course, Nigel, with the way it's worked out for this season, Ipswich, Leeds, and Leicester, we had chances of doing really well in all of those 3 matches against the 3 big sides.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird how that's worked out. I know we didn't win those matches actually. But what does that mean? Are we better than we're showing? Was that a false dawn? Looking back on it now,
it's almost like you can split the season into 2 halves at the moment because up until October we did really well and we were playing the top side. We're competitive in every game, but we were up there on merit. I think we were 5th at the end of October after beating Bristol, and deservedly so at that time. We knew they would have strike us short and need a creative midfielder, but they did look the part. Obviously, Rambo missing is taken some of that away. But since November and December, the performances haven't been that great. We scored in every game for the first 11 games of the season. It was only us and Ipswich who managed to do that. And now we've blanked 6 times in the last 10 games. And one of those times, 4 games we scored was an own goal. So, something has definitely gone wrong in terms of the creativity and the goal scoring. And we know we're missing players. We need to strengthen there. But the things I felt they were doing right in the first 2 months of the season, they don't look so right now to me, but whether they're just jaded, whether it's the bullets saying, I want 5 or 6 new players in January and it's affected some of those players, because I think a lot of players were doing quite well the first couple of months of the season. There's been a lot of underperformance the last couple of months of the season, but, January, fresh start. Let's see what happens.
Well, Martin mentioned earlier about, moderating forums about language, etc. So I'm going to go to Steve Wiggins now and I'll say 2 words to you, Steve, yeah? First one's Sheffield, the second one's Wednesday.
Yeah, but it's all good, clean fun, Steve, I hope. I'm sure Martin, I hope the guys appreciate what I put on there. I fan the flames a little bit, but, I what I'm like, Steve, I'll say it like it is. And I was just really disappointed. Number one, that you couldn't get the game on the telly in the first place to start. And a couple of mates up and we desperately tried to get a stream, and then so we missed the 2 penalties. So that's another bugbear. But I was just disappointed with number one, that's the side that they put out, and number 2, I don't know, just the attitude of some of the players on the pitch. People don't seem to care anymore. They put years ago, players like Dwyer and Don Murray put the shirt on and played their heart out, and we don't get that these days. And I know that's probably not only in our club, but disappointed on the weekend, Steve. And I don't know where to start really, but it was just it was like carry on football for me on Saturday. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
And they were good films, by the way, in the day for the more mature member. We'll remember those with Sid James. But, you know, come
That
on.
2 penalties thing was just totally bizarre, wasn't it? You know, but 2 penalties in like 2.5 minutes or something ridiculous. I mean, miss them both, you know.
Well, I actually missed we actually got the stream going on about 20 minutes, and there's all these people texting me saying, "Have we missed 2 penalties?" I said, "Well, we haven't got the stream up yet, so I really don't know." I thought someone was winding me up. You know, to get 2 penalties for the City and then to miss them both was, well, you know, it took me back to the Wolves game when, you know, when Dean and Junior.
Yes.
That was the last time we had 2 penalties in a short space of time, and we missed those as well. And but no, it wasn't good on Saturday. And what annoyed me more than anything, Steve, is a lot of people come out with comments like, "Oh, everyone feels weekend side." So I thought, right, I'm going to sit down here on the weekend, watch a few games, watch Match of the Day, watch everything that I've taped or recorded. And it's amazing, actually, this year that the number of sides or the number of clubs that actually fielded strong first teams in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. And we weren't one of them. And, you know, it would have been nice from a fan's perspective and a club's perspective to get in the hat this evening for the 4th round draw. And we all remember, you know, the year we got to the final at Wembley, at Portsmouth. They're great occasions, going up to Wembley to play Barnsley. Now this year, we're like a wet rag. We're out the competition. Why? Because we didn't feel one of the strongest side we could. We're not going to go up this year. We're not going to go down. So why not put a few boys in and try and win the game? And I think if we had done that, we'd have been in the 4th round draw tonight, maybe pulling out Liverpool in the next round.
Anybody want to come back on that at all?
If I just say that, you know, you've got to give the youngsters a chance. You know, we give them a chance at Blackburn when we played away in the League Cup and we got hammered. You know, half time it was great. You know, Ruben was stunning. We had all the players, but then they ran out of steam. But I actually think that playing Ryan Windle as a centre back to start the game, I just don't know where that comes from. You know, I know it's not nice to single out players, but I don't think he's been our star performer over the last five or six games. Rousey, of course, he couldn't play because, you know, he's recovering from his groin injury and it was good to give him a rest. But surely, you know, you see some of the under-21s and, you know, Panzer, what the hell? You know, I know the problem with a tweet today. You know, it's been deleted, but it's like
really, I didn't see that one. So what was that one? What happened there?
Him with another shirt on.
So go on, Kieran.
Yeah. Apparently, he had a photo. There was like 6 or 7 photos of him not with a Cardiff City shirt on.
Oh yeah.
And now he's deleted the tweet. So it's on some other message boards. It's on there as well. But some people quickly got the copy of the tweet. But you know, it is what it is. But you know,
did he have a shirt on at all? Then do you have a Nottingham Forest shirt on? Something did he?
Newport County, from what I've seen this season.
Yeah, but you know, he hasn't been. You know, he hasn't been given a chance. He was awful when he came on against Ipswich. That cost us goal. But you know, that was an opportunity for him to play. You know, don't play a midfielder as a centre back. You know, Windle played centre back, and then when got injured, he went and played right back. And it's going, what's going on? You know, I know where Errol was. You know, he's been ill, but you know, his management team knows what positions the players are. And I think that the only position that was right on the field, in my opinion, you know, was Colwell. Colwell actually, I felt sorry for him a bit because he was creating probably his most creative. He's been in lots of games, but there was no one on the end of it.
No. I was going to say, Steve, I understand the you know, the fixture congestion argument for resting players in December. You know, we had 7 games, but we haven't got any midweek games in January at all. We've only got 2 games left now in January. So I take Steve's point there and say, well, you know, we could have put out a proper starting 11 and kept them, if you like, you know, in the flow of things. And as it goes now, we've got Leeds at home and Plymouth away, and that's it. So it doesn't make any. I agree. It doesn't make any sense to me. And you know, I'm not just saying that from a nostalgic point of view, because I'm a great advocate of the FA Cup, and I think we should always play our best team in the FA Cup. But the counter argument to people say resting players, no, it doesn't work for January for me.
I think the thing about it, Al, is at the end of the day, if players like let's just pick Ralls for it as an example, 2 penalties, we could have been 2 up. We probably would have won. We probably would have coasted the game on Saturday. But when you're playing, like the guys have said, playing Winkle in defence, and I see Tanner dropping to left back, and that kid who turned up at right back, who
Benjamin.
You know, what's all that about?
I felt sorry for him, actually. I thought he was quite, he hasn't
okay
played, exposed, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's okay to put a couple of youngsters in, and I'm all for that. It was lovely to see the Colwell brothers in, but I mean, let's have a decent formation. I mean, and if Panzo's available, Panzo should have started that game because he hasn't had a chance. And we all know that last year at Coventry, he's a good player in the Championship. We didn't have. It was just that the way they set up, everything was like a square pegs and round holes.
Yeah, I was chatting with Steve today about this, and I agree about, you don't want to rest players, you want to give the cup a go, but the problem we got at Cardiff is we haven't got a squad. And when you look at the teams, I know they played full strength at the weekend, but they've been able to rotate all the way through December. Cardiff haven't. There's no backup for most of those players, and so you get to a situation where it comes to January, you've got Collins who's gone off form, struggling with is recovering from his ACL. 2 centre-backs, they've played every minute of every game this season. You've got things, other players with little niggles. We've got a couple of injuries now. So I could get to a certain degree some of the changes there. And let's be honest, they had enough chances to have won that game even with the setup they had. And those 2 penalty misses, I think that sums up some of the problems down there. We've now missed 7 of the last 11 penalties in the last 2 seasons. Callum Robinson's missed 3 out of 4. They're just so casual in their approach, aren't they?
Wow.
And look at it. You remember the Huddersfield one last season when he did the no-look penalty?
Yeah.
He got Steve Morrison to sack that one, so it wasn't all bad. But, just it's just the way he strolls up to it. If you missed your last couple of penalties, you've just got to hit that ball. And you're looking at players like Ollie Tanner, Penny Ng, they're not going to do that sort of thing. They are just going to smack it in. Let's have someone who's going to take a proper penalty rather than these casual-looking things that seems to sum up some of the attitude we see in performances lately.
Well, there's a lot of you've said in there. We could come back. I want to come back to Callum Robinson later. Al, are any comments coming in?
Yeah, Mickey Villains wished you a happy birthday, as we all have.
Thank you, Mickey.
We started the game with only 2 recognised defenders. Steve Thomas, I know Steve was up there on Saturday. Even Jen's happy birthday, Steve. We should have had a 3rd penalty on Saturday, but I was glad we didn't, so I only equalled my record of seeing us miss 2 penalties in the game. Winkle and Tanner in defence was just wrong. At least we won't make that mistake again, hopefully. We had 20, this is what, echoing what Nigel said a moment ago, we had 22 shots to their 12 with 6 on target each, although 2 of ours were penalties. And then Oswald CT has said Tanner's an attacking player. Not sure what he was doing at wing back, and that's echoing what everyone's said, really, isn't it, as far as the position? I don't know whose idea that was. If Bullet wasn't there, I just don't know. Come up with that bright idea. It doesn't make sense to me.
Can I come in on that just a second? Is that okay? I understand people's frustrations and stuff, and a lot of the players, it seems, I didn't see the game. I didn't fight to get a stream because I don't have ESPN and don't have the ability to do that. So, but just to balance some of the content, I did have the opportunity to go to Birmingham earlier in the season, where Bullet picked from memory Romeo on the right-hand side of a 3-man defence, Adams in the middle, and then G the other side with Tanner as right wing back. We beat them 3-1, and it could have been 5. So I think what he might have been doing is trying to rest some of the players that I think, if any of us saw the QPR game, there were several that looked out on their feet because they played all the games in the season. But still, try and give them a chance to win. And we've all said that with the number of attempts they had on goal plus the 2 penalties, I do feel sorry for the people who paid the money to go up there, not thinking they would have changed, because obviously I've done that before, and it's not a very pleasant experience. But sometimes these decisions have to be made, and for me, what will vindicate it or otherwise is the type of performance they're able to give against Leeds on Saturday, because I would guess that we'll probably have less of the ball than Leeds, and if people have to run around covering all day and trying to get goals on the break like we did when we were away, that's very tiring to do.
Yeah.
Martin, I think you were coming in there, weren't you?
Yeah, with regards to Tanner at left back, I saw Bullett's assistant give a post-match interview, and basically he was saying the only left back we've got is Collins, and if we don't get one in and Collins gets injured, it was an opportunity to try Tanner at left back. It was something they've been wanting to do for a while, but he's better going forward, isn't he? He's not a defender, so it was a big ask of him.
When I saw the lineup at the beginning, I was one of the 11 names rather. I was just trying to work out what the lineup was, and on the BBC they had us playing 3-5-2. You know, Brendan Martin was left hand side of defence, but it was hard to tell who was where. I want to come on to something else in a second, but before I do, I said to Simon Willis, I'd mention an announcement for him tonight. There's a new channel launched by Ace Podcast Nation called Cardiff City World. You can subscribe for free, youtube.com, Cardiff City World. We'll be launching over the next weeks. 2-part Michael Chopra City Legends event, and the channel will feature weekly previews, analysis, podcasts, ex-players, latest news and more. So make Cardiff City World your hub for all Bluebirds content and news in all one place. So yeah, good luck with that, Simon. And as like Alan and I know we both agree on this, Cardiff City fan groups, let's all work together. There's absolutely no point at all in being at all competitive. So I wish them all the luck in the world for that. Martin, I'll ask you with Panzo and Renarsson both being missing for that game. Do you think the writing's on the wall for those two? Because if we have 5 loanees at the moment, so if we're going to bring in loanees now in the January window, we have to create some space, don't we?
Absolutely, I can see them both being recalled because they're it must be frustrating from their perspective. You facilitate a loan to be playing first team football, and for whatever reason, Panzo hasn't had any opportunity, and the keeper has struggled. So when you sort a loan from a Premier League club, to me, it's not to pad out your squad. It's to actually improve your starting 11, and it just hasn't worked for either of them. So I'm not sure of the clauses in their loan agreement, but you'd like to think we could get better.
Anybody else? What anybody else think? Think they're going to be heading off back to their clubs?
It's interesting. We got Eli King coming back, haven't we?
Yeah.
We called him, and following on for the left back situation. Well, of course, we've let Joe Bacon go to Belgium. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, let me ask you this then. I'll just ask you this. So Eli King's come back. Yeah, should we also bring back Isaac and Joel Bacon? Your opinion?
I'm not sure about Isaac. They're struggling over there, aren't they? He scored a couple of goals, but they're struggling. I find it difficult. You send a young kid like that over there on his own. I'm not so sure that that's a good move. He's 21? Probably never lived.
Yeah, 21.
Never lived without his mum and dad before or whatever, and they send him off to Belgium. I don't think that's a good thing at all. I prefer him to see playing much lower league, even National League in somewhere in the UK. I think would have been better for his progression. Joe Bacon, knowing that the problems we've got at left back, okay, we didn't know that O'Dowd was going to get injured, but Bacon, I think we if they're not going to get someone else in, he's got to come back, because otherwise we're going to have Tanner playing at left back, if JC gets injured.
Or Wintle.
Eli King, it's funny, isn't it? This, to me, I was thinking about it earlier, it echoes exactly the same thing that happened with Ryan Wintle. Wintle went to Blackpool, did really, really, really well. We got him back, he played well for us. I think he's dipped off a little bit, hasn't he, now?
McGuinness.
Really. Eli King has had rave reviews up there. I know it's a lower level football, but I've only got a chance. I remember seeing him at Liverpool when he played up there, and he good game. It'd be interesting to see. But does this mean now we're going to let a lot of the midfielders pick, your likes of Sawyers, for example? Are we just going to let them go?
Looks like, doesn't it? Go on, Steve.
Else there. When Al mentioned the Liverpool game, here's a guy, and it just clicked something in my mind. Oliver Denham. He
I was
played.
going to say the same thing. Played great
He's up in
against Liverpool,
Scotland.
didn't he?
Yeah,
He's up, I think it's Dundee United. is
Dundee.
He's at
Dundee.
Dundee.
It's up Scotland, isn't it? He's playing.
Dundee United,
Yeah.
I think. Dundee United. Pretty sure.
Oh, right. He had a really good game at Liverpool, I thought, in that
Yeah.
cup. It was a cup match, I think, Al.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it looks like Winnison's on his way back, and I'm not too dissatisfied with that. Just, chatting to a couple of my friends who are big Arsenal fans, they were glad to get him off off their squad. But I think Panzo's been most unlucky, and when Nigel sort of allures to players not being rotated, well, why didn't Panzo get a game somewhere, where McGuinness and Gutas were playing flat out? Because Panzo's a great championship player, but he hasn't had he's had that one cameo appearance up at Ipswich where I think he was maybe slightly at fault for one of their goals at the near post. But since then, just a couple of 10 minutes here as a substitute. He's never started a game, Steve, and that bemuses me. I don't understand the reason. If your players are tired, then that guy should have had at least a couple of games. He's had nothing. So
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because I think when you're talking about the loans, some of those loan players are on the biggest wages down at Cardiff.
Yeah.
And if they're just going to sit on the bench, we can't keep them. You've got Dalman saying they're close to FFP. They want to try and improve the quality. The only way you're going to get better quality players in is going to pay them a decent wage. So those loan boys, if they're not playing for us, they got to go back. So it's as simple as that ultimately. But I think with Panzo, he has been unlucky, but he came in as a centre back and also to fill in at left back, and he's not been able to fill at left back. They've tried him there a couple of times, and he just hasn't performed at that level. And I think he's been unlucky that the two centre backs, they've virtually been undroppable this season, haven't they? Even when McGuinness has been strapped up, you're not going to take McGuinness out the side and drop Panzo in at the moment. And it's just unfortunate those two boys are doing so well, and they're making themselves fit and available every game that he just can't get a look in. And it is unfortunate, but I think he's on 12,000, 13,000 a week to sit on the bench at Cardiff. You can't have that.
It's not a bad job, is it?
No, I wouldn't mind it. Just for a month.
It's funny though, Nigel, isn't it? Like we said, it's funny with Denham because I think that's the only game I've ever seen him play in the first team. I think maybe probably is his only first team appearance. You look so assured and promising.
Yeah. I don't think he's done that well up in Scotland.
No,
I don't think he's playing.
Yeah.
No, but you sometimes it's not a bad thing. I think Martin's quite close, knows Isaac Davis better than me and the family, and I think he's doing pretty well out there. He scored a few, performing well. He's idolised by the fans out there. Sometimes you do need to send players away to see if they can cut it. I remember Rob Earnshaw when they sent him up to Scotland, Greenock Morton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was going to make or break him, and he came back, far better for that experience of being sent away from home, learning to live life as a footballer. When he came back, he was fully equipped. So, it might be the same with Isaac and the boys they send up to Scotland. And when they come back, they're all the better for it. But they're certainly not going to be tested sitting around Cardiff's development team.
Nigel, it might be testament to Eli King. He's a young kid and he's gone away on his own up there and obviously done very, very well. I know difficult it is with the lone players. Panzo down here, they're living out of hotels. Very difficult for them to get any kind of settlement. I bumped into Panzo actually, and I hesitate to criticise him because he's
we
just a lovely kid.
We outside Greg's.
Yeah, I was buying him one. It was just a lovely kid. Really, really nice, personable. But then you think, God, is this what he's doing? We've got, every night of the week he's just stuck in this hotel on his own.
Yeah.
All right.
We've worked, don't we? We know how bad it is.
Exactly.
He's stuck in hotels night after night. So yeah.
He obviously wants to play out, doesn't he? He's a footballer, and if you're a footballer, you want to play games, and he just doesn't have the time. And I take Nigel's point that McGuinness and Gutas have been exceptional, but on the flip side of the coin, Nigel, you've got to remember that they played every game, and you're on about players being tired. So why not give Panzo a game against Rotherham?
Yeah, and I don't know why he wasn't involved at the weekend. Whether it is a sign he's on his way or he's injured or not. I did expect him to play.
They didn't want to cup tie him, did they?
Yeah. I'd like Isaac back, to be perfectly honest, because it's we're desperately lacking for pace at the front, and we know Isaac is quick, and hopefully he's developed with his He scored a few goals now. He knows where the net is. I think it's 4 in the last 9 games he scored, which is probably better than most of our strikers put together. And, so it'd be nice to see, even if he's a bench player, just to come on and do a Fairclough, David Fairclough, just be a super sub. Let's get him back. We're struggling up front. After Sheffield, it's abysmal. Seeing all the wasted chances, all the shots directly at the keeper. Powder puff shots. So that's what frustrated me more. The keeper hardly had to move to pick up the ball sometimes.
So talking of that, Kieran, I want to talk to you about something else in a second. But Callum Robinson.
I would personally loan him out.
Yeah,
I love Callum Davids. I think he's a lovely guy. I've met most of them, and I think he's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
I would just for now loan him out, get his confidence back up, put him to League One, get him to scoring goals again. You've seen him against Sheffield. He was just trying too much. You could see every time he got the ball, he was just trying a little bit too much rather than just one touch and hit it. It was overthinking and trying to do something spectacular.
Yeah. Well, he's capable of the spectacular, though, isn't he? Because I'll say something a little bit controversial because I think it's my opinion anyway. So Callum Robinson, he's clearly a very talented footballer.
Yeah.
Right. He clearly can be top class because we've seen him do it. But I think like when he wants to do it, I look at him now and I just don't think his body language, and he doesn't look like he particularly feels happy or comfortable at the moment. Playing in whatever role he's been asked to play for Cardiff City. I think when he went somewhere else, he'd probably do well. And a friend of mine, Kieran, lives in Ireland, and he watched him play for Ireland, and he said he's just looks like he's off the boil. His head isn't on it. So maybe a move would be good for him.
Yeah, half season loan to the end of the season. I think he's still got another year or so left on his contract. So it'd be nice to put him out and then bring him back for next season. Get him up to scratch.
And the controversial bit is, I suppose, going back to the mention of the financial fair play. He's one of those players who we could get a fee for if we needed to bring some cash in order to spend some cash. He could be a contender for that as well, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could be. It's not going to be a great amount because of what he hasn't done a great deal this season. But we would get money for him. Probably our most valued player at the moment in the squad is Siopsis, and we don't want him to go anywhere.
No. We hope his mate comes and joins us.
That's right. That's right.
So Steve, what's your thoughts on Callum Robinson? Because I've heard it said by yourself, I think you were a top class striker in your time.
Well, it was okay. I mean, when I see it, just when I see players like a Tete up front and an Ugbo, I mean, God, they're not championship players in a million years. And we desperately need firepower, don't we? Callum Robinson's gone off the boil since his injury. He's gone way back. But I watch the strikers, particularly when I go down there, and they don't want to put a foot in, and I don't know, we're a bit snowflakey all around the pitch, to be honest, apart from the little Greek fella, Windle now and again. Rawls get stuck in okay. But no, Callum Robinson, I'd let go because he's gone way off the boil. And like you said, I watched a bit of the Ireland game as well. His heart doesn't seem to be in the game anymore, Steve, for whatever reason. He's lost a bit of his appetite. I saw a bit of Ivan Toney's interview today, and he fell out of love with football. Perhaps same things happened with Callum Robinson, because he's definitely gone backwards, hasn't he?
Well, that's nice, Al, isn't it? Whenever an international player comes up, it's always the Greek fella or the Spanish fella or whatever.
My specialty. I think the two stand-up players for us, really. I mean, the two centre halves, really, as well as the opposition. We've gone back to what we were saying with Jonathan Panzo, but I think the two centre halves have been outstanding this season.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise they played as many minutes as they have played. But yeah, I mean, McGuinness, we're talking about people who could command a transfer fee. I think McGuinness is going to be. I think he'll be a player eventually. He's only 22. He's a hell of a player, isn't he?
Yeah.
So Gutas, actually, I can't remember what the source was, but I saw a stat the other day, and it was to do with interceptions. I think he was second in the entire division, and Perry and G was number 5 or something. So that's probably shows why
he's got a goal in him, hasn't he? As he's shown over the last month. So
Any more comments, Al, you want to mention?
No, I think that the move to YouTube is basically,
stifled them.
it's a difficult one. You know, when we were on Facebook, we had a lot of people. So I think we
Yeah.
had the notification come up.
Well,
but
maybe the thing with Cardiff City will help us with that.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. It's been more difficult since we moved over, definitely. Because I think you have to have a YouTube account to then comment, don't you? As opposed to on Facebook.
Yeah.
On Facebook, everyone could just comment the whole time. So I think people then got to register to actually make a comment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
hopefully-
obviously there were issues with Facebook, which were totally out of our hands. Ridiculous situation. I don't know why it happened, but I want to whiz around on a totally different topic, and I come to Lynn first on this. I just want to maybe get an opinion from each of you. So the death of Franz Beckenbauer today, Lynn.
Yeah, I did read that, and he was a fabulous player. I would say, along with Mr. Moore, they sort of were the sort of template, if you like, for the modern centre half. You know, that come out from the back and you know, play football and start attacks and stuff like that. Is the type of centre halves that we all want in our teams. And yeah, he'll be sorely missed and made a big impression.
Yeah, it's a big day, Nigel. Someone like Beckenbauer, you know, passed away with George Best a few years ago. Beckenbauer's right up there, isn't he? You know.
Yeah, when it takes you back to when you were a kid, isn't it? You've seen your first World Cups and
Ninian Park as well.
Yeah, and Germany. You know, Germany were the best side in the world, really, in the
absolutely.
you know, early 70s, and a lot of that was because of Beckenbauer as their captain and leader. You know, everything seemed to stem from him. He block everything out of the back, and he'd start every move forward. And he just an awesome player. And yeah, wish we had someone like him at Cardiff. Well, we got two centre halves like him, but you know,
we had Jorn Schwinkendorf.
Yeah, that's true.
Time ago, yeah.
Martin,
excuse me a minute. I got someone at the door. I'll be back.
all right,
The Rolls Royce of a
your pizza's here, man.
yeah.
Martin, thoughts on Franz Beckenbauer?
Yeah, wasn't he? He was just, he was the Kaiser. He just, as you say, in this modern era, he'd be awesome, wouldn't he? But yeah, and obviously he went, made a good fist out of management as well after his playing career. So yeah, condolences to all concerned.
Al, any thoughts on Franz Beckenbauer?
Just a little bit before, just tiny little bit.
Oh, not that one again. Come on.
No, seriously.
Not the age
He played up to 1977, which is, you know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I was looking earlier. I'm sure he must have. Okay, because I can't ever remember seeing footage of him playing against Wales, but there were apparently 3 games during his international career where he did play against Wales. So I don't know whether someone who's like a couple of years older than me might be able to know whether that was the case. But certainly, you know, I was saying earlier, you know, when these people, you don't think they're that old. You're feeling older when they pass away, don't you? You think, oh, I feel like I know Franz Beckenbauer, and 78 is just no age, is it? Really, it's terrible.
No. Kieran, did I ask you about Franz?
No, you know, it's a massive loss for football worldwide. You know, just you think of you know, 1974, you had Johan Cruyff and Franz Beckenbauer. That was, you know, you look at those World Cup, and you know, 2 of the greatest names in football. And you know, Franz, I think he went on to play in America, didn't he, to end his career?
Yes.
I think he was one of the first to go at Cosmos or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know, which a lot of modern footballers nowadays are still doing. And but he just was worldwide. You know, I think he managed Germany as well, didn't he?
Yep.
It was West Germany, wasn't it, as it was in them days? But you know, it's just an icon. You know, it's a sad loss for football worldwide.
Steve, sorry, could I just come in, because perhaps Nigel, someone might have. He's gone. I just seen Beckenbauer when they West Germany beat Wales in Ninian Park, October 1976, and he was captain. So I don't know if anyone actually saw him play. I didn't realise.
I would have been there, but I'm so old I can't remember. Al,
yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? Yeah. So
I would have been there if it was at Ninian Park. I went to every game from 74 to 82.
There we are. So
I was in St. John's then, so I didn't know much.
You don't realise at the time that sometimes you see players who go on to become as they are. I mean, in modern day parlance, if you like Jude Bellingham, we saw him played for Birmingham City against City at Birmingham when he was 16. I don't remember him playing. So it's it's one of those really.
We were probably just giving Franz Beckenbauer a lot of abuse anyway, weren't we?
Probably. Nice. Would you have gone there in October 1976? Beckenbauer played against Wales for Germany. Would you have been there?
Yeah. I was there. Yeah, because I used to watch all the Wales games from about 9, 10 years old, so it would have been about 14 at the time there. So yeah, I don't remember Wales games against West Germany as well as I remember the games when we played Germany. Actually beat them a couple of times, didn't you? Russian players like that. But Beckenbauer, I mainly remember firstly from the 1970 World Cup, because that was when you first realised that 66 was too early for me. The 1971 and then 74 when they won it in Germany. You know, he was outstanding that World Cup.
Steve, any quick comments on Franz? I got a Cardiff City thing on him in a second.
Absolute legend, and you can find him alongside the other two I always remember, with Gunter Netzer in midfield and Gerd Muller up front. That was the Germany side that I grew up watching. They were quality, but just the way that he was a legend, the way he brought the ball out from the back, he glided across the pitch, and you could liken him, like the guy said, to Bobby Moore. He's a great player, a legend.
I used to be the same for boys' brigades back in the day.
Yeah.
He's like a little bit towards Danny Gabardon Santa Claus when you nudge.
I tried.
So the Cardiff City link is of course Adrian Alston. So Adrian Alston became very close friends. He'd be devastated by Franz Beckenbauer dying, actually. When they played against each other, when he played for Australia in the World Cup, I think Beckenbauer asked for his shirt. I think at the end of the game, they swapped shirts at the end of the game. And then when they went out to America, they were both playing out to America, and they became really, really good friends. Which is nice. Changing totally tangent. We'll go to Kieran with this one again. The was Ugbo in the squad on the weekend? He wasn't, was he?
I didn't see him in the squad.
Yeah. So is he another one? Is he another one who could be maybe you know?
Didn't he come on as a sub?
Did he?
No.
I don't remember him coming on. Is he another one though, Kieran? Do you think is he another one of because we're gonna have to move some loanies out to get some in, aren't we?
Well, to get the players in, we've got Mehmet's already made it quite common in all his interviews. We have to let people go, whether that's we can now buy them, which is great in this transfer window, which will be fantastic. Our first time for some time now. We haven't got a big pot, as he said in his interview the other day. So, we got to be wise with our money. And I think putting some of these loan players, letting them go back would be great. And it'll be a good resource for our budget, because they are on, the loan players are probably the highest paid players, as we know. They're not going to come to Cardiff for £5,000 a week, are they?
No. And that also brings the other equation about, personally, I'm not qualified to say this, but I haven't got any problem at all. Eli King, Isaac and Joel Bacon come back. I'd have no problem at all with that. I wanted to ask you, Kieran, about the disabled fans group at Cardiff City. I know you're involved in that. I just wondered, how have things changed? Do you think, in terms of the way that football clubs treat fans with disabilities these days? Has it improved over the years, I wonder?
Up until the pandemic, it was going quite good. But since the pandemic, we've had some instances right across all of football, some misogynistic behaviour by fans. It's getting the awareness. You've got a lot of people now. I rated people walking into disabled toilets if they're not in a wheelchair, or if they haven't got a walking stick. We campaign within Cardiff City disabled supporters on hidden disabilities. It's a major thing, and we've got Cardiff City. We're lucky now. We've been working for the last 2.5 years, and we just got awarded the Gold Centre of Excellence Award for level playing fields for disabilities in football. Only 5 clubs in football have got that across the whole country. And we've got clubs contacting us now, asking us how they could improve their disability awareness schemes. I work across in with Football Supporters Europe. I go to some of their meetings, and they're campaigning on disabilities with CAFE, Centre of Excellence Football in Europe. So it's a high priority for a lot of football groups now, because they could see that things are getting worse in certain areas, and it's something that we mustn't forget about. For Cardiff, what we're doing now, one of our major campaigns, we bring in patients from Landoc, that from our Landoc Neuro unit, we bring them to a football game. They watch football, and then we get them back to the Landoc unit. It gets them out as part of their rehabilitation. But it's making people aware of it as well. A lot of people say, "Oh, what you do then?" And not many people know. We advertise in the programme. Martin is our social media entrepreneur.
Guru.
For want of a better word.
Yeah. I couldn't say it because we're live, Martin.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't.
But we're doing our best. The club are fantastic with us.
Yeah.
We've got a brilliant.
I was just going to
Joe Vowles
make
is
that
our
point.
Yeah, Joe Vowles is our disabled supporter,
Okay.
Player ambassador, and he does loads of things with us, and he lets other players know everything, and he gets us bits and pieces for raffles and events that we do.
Martin or Lynn, do you want to come in on that at all?
Yeah,
I can on that. If I can just
go on, Lynn.
All right, okay. I just wanted to pay tribute to the club, really, with the links that we've got with them, and the work that Kieran and others are putting in. Because despite our advanced years, Martin and I still do the odd away trip when we can do. And compared to a lot of the clubs that we visit, even some of those that have been recently in the Premiership and have come back down to the Championship, which, as we know, we've been in for quite some time now. The visited experience that people get at our ground is I don't know what Martin would feel, but my impression is the visited experience that people get at our ground is much better than a lot of grounds we visit.
I can't praise our club enough, really, since the short time I've been involved with the DSA. I think they've very much got like an open door policy, and they seem to be not only listening to points we've made, but actually, taking them on board and doing something about it. So, I think, but like all things, there's some way to go.
So following on from that, what you're saying there, Martin, I just want to ask Kieran about this. When you first said this earlier, I must have misheard you, right? I thought you said the TAN advisory board, but I'm guessing it's the fan advisory board. Maybe it's the same thing. I'm not sure.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The government white paper got brought out this year, and as of 2025, it's going to be a legal requirement for all football clubs to have a fan advisory board. If they don't, action will be taken against them. What action, we don't know yet, but the government's setting it. So Paul Corky, he's been involved with the Football Supporters Association. I myself is with FSA Cymru, and at Cardiff we're going to bring it forward, and we've decided to bring it in earlier than most clubs. Some clubs have already got it, Arsenal, Man City. There's quite a few clubs in the Premiership that have got it, so we're going ahead with ours. We've got the core committee set up. That's we've got 5 members from the Supporters Club, the Cardiff City Supporters Trust, and the Disabled Supporters. So those are the core group. We have members for the club, one of which have got to be a director. And now we've got 3 vacancies for more supporters. One will be under 25, one will be a female, and one will be a season ticket or member. And those are being shortlisted, or that closing date was last week. They're being shortlisted tomorrow evening at our first meeting, and we're hoping to get the fan advisory board up and running by February.
So,
So that's it's going to be more communication with running of a club, exactly what's happening, details of everything about the club.
yeah, I mean, it's a long time coming. I think it's a really really good thing. So the first board meeting is tomorrow. Amongst those things, will be deciding the final makeup of the actual panel. Then, yeah.
Yes. There's been quite a few people apply for. It went out to all supporters, all season ticket holders. Expression of interest. They had to write a bio of themselves with 200 words. Tomorrow night, we've got there's 5 of us at the moment, what, 6 now, with other member come on. So we're going to go through all of them tomorrow night, and then shortlist, and then we'll put that onto Cardiff City. Will then put it out onto the website, and then Cardiff City fans will vote for those people to go who they want on the committee to represent themselves. So we'll make a shortlist. We'll put the categories out there, and then the fans will vote for those people. And we can't be fairer than that. You know, we've got to. We don't want to be accused of, you know, oh, we're picking him because he's our mate, or yeah, we know him. They go, or her, she goes away a lot. You know, it's down to the fans. You know, because the most important thing is the 3 core supporter groups are represented: the disabled supporters, Cardiff City Trust, and the Cardiff City Sports Club. They've got permanent positions on the fan advisory, as like every other fan advisory board in the country. So that's set in stone, and it'll be interesting. It's a new thing. We'll be having 4 meetings a year, but we won't be running the transfer committee over.
Oh, come on! Sorry, you're just getting excited then.
I know.
Look what the dog's done now.
Basically, it's going to be a good dialogue between the senior members of the club and the fans.
Right.
And everything, the minutes of those meetings will go out onto the supporter groups and onto the club website for all fans to see. There'll be nothing held back.
That's great, and it's surprising with football clubs, Al, isn't it? Sometimes, you know, maybe I don't know, maybe in the wider perspective, you think you go to a football match, and I mean, I love the childishness of football, you know, the stupid chants and all the rest. I love all that stuff, you know, but you sometimes don't recognize that within the football community there are some very bright, articulate, able people who, you know, actually can really help to help football run itself, really.
I've got nothing but admiration for people like Kieran and Corky and so on. You know, there's all. If you put yourself out there, there will be people criticising, and especially now with social media, people hide behind keyboards and criticise them. You know, these guys are doing it for nothing. You know, like Kieran's saying, he's travelling all around, going to these. You know, it's all very well as saying, "Oh, I would do that," but would we? You know, even when Kieran says, you know, he said 4 meetings a year. Could everyone commit to 4 meetings a year? It's a lot. Kieran's committing to 4 meetings a week. You know, it takes an awful lot. So I think it's fantastic, and you know, and all power to them as well. I think the way that you're going through it, no one can criticise them, because if they're saying, well, the trust, they'll have one person speaking on behalf of the trust, one person speaking on behalf of the DSA, one person speaking on behalf of the sports club, and you're always going to get people going, oh, the inner circle and all this sort of stuff. Well, if someone wants to get involved. You know, get off your backside and get involved, like these guys do. So yeah, sorry, that was. What do they say? Rant over, is it? Is that what they say?
No, it's a good rant. It's first rant of 2024.
I know.
I thought he was preparing for the election, then.
Okay, sorry.
We got about 5 minutes, right? So I just want to whiz around. Nice show tonight. It's nice having a bigger panel, actually. Steve, I'll come to you with a question. In one of the things that could happen feasibly, you know, if we spend some money, then we could actually sign some of the loanees we got. I mean, would Carlin Grant, would he be the kind of person you think we should be thinking about spending money on and keeping at the club?
I like Carlin Grant. I think we should play him a bit more centrally, but I like him as a player, and he's definitely proved his worth. I think Steve, I'm sure the guys would agree, he's done really well playing on the left side, isn't he? He's provided great support to Collins, who hasn't been, let's face it, the last few games, the last couple of months, he's gone backwards for me, but I think Carlin Grant's really helped him out. So it'd be someone I'd look at for sure, yeah. But we just desperately need a good centre forward, don't we?
Is there anyone else of the loanees you'd like us to keep at the moment?
No, I don't think so. No, I'd let them all go back. Well, I mean, I personally like Panzo last season, but we haven't seen much of him in a Bluebird shirt. So, but all the others I'd let go back, Steve.
And anything else comments wise, Al, or do you have any thoughts on Colin
Yeah,
Grant?
there are some. Bear with me a second, but it's kind of going backwards a little bit as to what we were saying earlier, Steve. Hang on a second.
Okay.
I was going to say, we need to dash out for bread and milk soon. It's snowing in Barry.
Oh my goodness!
Really?
Snowing in
Yeah,
Barry.
my boys are going nuts. I've been told that. Yeah.
With regards to Grant, I think with O'Dowd out injured, Grant is, he's played a key role really.
That's a good point.
There's no one, because most of our wide players prefer playing from the right. So and I also think he covers the left back really well. His work rate is impressive. So like Steve said, out of all our loanees, he would be he's probably about the only one I would like to, fee dependent.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's he worth, do you think?
Well, I think that's the problem, because West Brom paid 15 million for him, which is way over the
Crazy
top.
money.
Yeah.
No way he's worth that. But I think if we can bring in a decent striker like a Kiefer Moore, that's probably when you'll see the best of Grant, because I think his problem is he works hard down that side. He's not really got players to play with or play off, and that's where he's working very hard, but you don't always see the end product with it because he just hasn't got that support network up front. But certainly, you keep him on loan for the season, and there's got to be a conversation in the summer if we have funds to do something at that time. But I would look to keep him if we can.
Just don't want him recalled in January. A lot of these clubs, if they see him playing well, they could record him. And Grant has been
Look, he's injured.
our best lonely player for the season, really.
Yeah.
There's no recall on him, though, is there? So yeah,
Well, they could still get around a few.
They could still sell him. Yeah.
Al, did you have any more comments you wanted to mention?
There's a comment coming in from Rhys Jones online. He said Eli King's been recalled because Ibo Adams has been selected for Gambia in the AFCON.
All right.
I didn't realise that, which kind of makes a lot of sense now, I suppose, and which suggests that they will be letting some of the others go, because otherwise they wouldn't have bothered to bring him back, would they? Going back to Eli King, I'd go on about him quite a lot, actually, because I've always been impressed. He's had 2 half seasons now in the lower divisions. He played for Crewe, didn't he, for half a season, and we recalled him in the January. Then we'd let him go to Morecambe, recalled him. I just hope he gets more game time than he did when we recalled him last time. He only played for us 5 times, I think, 4 or 5 times. He perhaps got something to prove, hasn't he? It'd be good.
Yeah, he could have been recalled with a view to getting loaned out to a club higher up the pyramid.
Yeah,
like the top end of League One.
Yeah,
I think it'll depend on if we get permanent central midfielders in. I can't really. I'd rather Eli do that than sit on our bench.
Yeah. We got Kieran Evans. We got Kieran Evans as well, Martin. And I think he came on at Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah. Sometimes you just wonder, do we know what we're doing? It's kind of Kieran Evans went out to Torquay. We didn't let him go, and then we let Eli King go, and I don't know.
We got Ian Ashford as well, haven't we?
Yeah, I like him. I think he's got something about him. I do. I like the look of him.
Are there any whispers of signings, Steve?
Say again.
Are there any whispers of any signings?
To quote you, I think there's either a Greek lad or a Turkish lad being talked about. There's also, of course,
an international.
As well as Bakasetas, and of course Danny Ward is a sniff at the moment, isn't there? Whether Danny Ward might be coming in. Of course, there's Kiefer, so Danny Ward and Kiefer Lynn be quite happy with that, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And David Brooks would be nice.
David Brooks, yeah.
Brooks, yeah.
Danny Ward's possible. Would you say, Lynn? Would you say that's got possibilities?
It's like anything else, really. It's as far as myself is concerned, it's only what I've read in the various forums that we've been linked with him. I think it would be a good thing if we could get a goalkeeper of that standard, sort of dependent upon whether Runnison is going back to Arsenal and what the contractual things with that are, because obviously I wouldn't have thought too many of us are au fait with what's written into that, but yeah, I think that and a striker would be, I think, well, certainly my priorities. Everybody else would have their own views, but
Thank you. And we're getting towards the end, and because there's so many of us here, I want to whiz around with this one. So it was the anniversary of the famous FA Cup Scott Young Leeds United game the other day. Actually, I was covering club call for Leeds United that night, by the way, which is fairly hilarious. But there you go. So let's go with predictions for the Leeds match. Now, I'm gonna go for 2-1 win for City because it's Leeds. You know, we like beating Leeds. Steve, what you reckon?
I'm going to go for a 2-all score draw, Steve. There's going to be goals, I think. Definitely.
Al?
I'm going to say it was you 2. I never bet against City on this program anyway, do I? So I'll say 2-1.
Martin?
Yeah, I think I'd settle for a draw to tell you the truth on this one.
Kieran?
I go for 1-1.
Okay. Lynn?
yeah, I'd agree with that. I'll sit on the fence and go for 1-all, I think.
And the champion fence sitter, Nigel Blues.
I think it's going to be 1-1, but I don't know who's going to score the own goal for us.
Hey, it'll be Ramsey in the 78th minute when he comes on as sub.
Good line. Listen, thanks all. Really great. Thanks for coming on tonight.